A dangerous turn. Trump's response to Charlie Kirk's tragic death has sparked fears of a dangerous political strategy. Washington, D.C. President Trump's recent actions and rhetoric have sent shockwaves through the political landscape, raising concerns about the potential suppression of political opposition. The assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has become a catalyst for this controversy. Despite the lack of evidence linking the shooting to any organized group, Trump and his administration have discussed extreme measures, including classifying certain organizations as domestic terrorists and revoking tax-exempt status for progressive nonprofits. The White House has specifically named Indivisible and the Open Society Foundations as potential targets. But here's where it gets controversial. Administration officials claim their focus is on preventing violence, but critics argue this is a continuation of Trump's campaign against his political enemies, threatening free speech rights. Any moves to weaken liberal groups could significantly impact the political landscape ahead of the midterm elections, potentially shifting the balance of power. Trump himself has fueled this fire, stating, "The radical left has caused immense harm to our nation, but we're fixing it." This statement, made during his state visit to the UK, has only added fuel to the debate, and this is the part most people miss. Trump has made similar threats in the past, but the killing of Kirk has reignited these discussions. Nonprofit leaders, including those from the Ford Foundation and MacArthur Foundation, have released a joint letter, standing against attempts to exploit political violence and restrict their freedoms. They write, "Attempts to silence speech and criminalize opposing views undermine our democracy and harm all Americans." The White House, however, is pointing fingers at terrorist networks, with officials like Attorney General Pam Bondi blaming left-wing radicals for Kirk's assassination. Stephen Miller, a top policy advisor, even claimed there was an organized campaign behind the shooting. But is this an overreaction? Authorities believe the suspect acted alone. Yet the administration is pushing for broader investigations and punishments. J.D. Vance, guest hosting Kirk's talk show from the White House, blamed crazies on the far left for inciting violence. He said, "We're not going after protected speech. We're going after the NGO network that encourages and engages in violence." The White House provided examples, such as protests where officers were injured and the distribution of protective gear during immigration enforcement protests in LA. Nonprofits are bracing for impact. Trump's executive actions have already caused tremors, and now, with a darker mood, they're preparing for the worst. Lisa Gilbert from Public Citizen says, "It's a tense atmosphere, and organizations fear unjust targeting." Trump's campaign has been centered on retribution, and he's used the federal government to reshape independent institutions. He even ordered an investigation into Act Blue, a liberal fundraising platform. Some nonprofits expect the administration to target prominent donors like George Soros, a liberal billionaire, to send a chilling message to the donor community. So, is this a legitimate response to political violence, or is it a dangerous power play? The lines are blurred, and the debate is heated. Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat, wrote, "Kirk's murder could have united Americans against political violence, but Trump seems ready to destroy dissent." The White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson denies any political motivation, stating, "Our goal is to target criminal acts, not political speech." Republicans, however, are backing Trump's calls for investigations. Senator Ted Cruz and others have proposed legislation to use racketeering laws against violent protesters and their supporters. Representative Chip Roy wants a special committee to investigate nonprofit groups, saying, "We must identify the perpetrators of these anti-American assaults." The controversy rages on, with questions about the limits of free speech and the role of the government in protecting its citizens. What do you think? Is this a necessary response to political violence, or a dangerous overreach? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective on this complex issue.